Yeah, let's start from the beginning, and now something completely different. And I will talk a little bit, I will start a little bit from the second most important thing in the universe, myself. So my name is Evgeny Kot, I'm from Reich, I'm the director of development, this is my Twitter, Google developer expert in web, Flutter and Dart, also organizer of some conference, whatever, not that interesting. The most interesting thing for you is that I spent like past 10 years in Frontend, so I know something about the Frontend. And Reich is a project management solution which helps people to be really productive. And we have something like 2.5 million lines of code on Frontend. So it's super heavy application, a lot of nice features. So we spent last, again, 10 or so years doing Frontend stuff. So, and yeah, 1 second, looks like, okay, it should work. So, the front end, a digital frontier. You know what is the biggest problem in front end, in web? What do you think? What is the biggest problem in front end? Libraries, okay. Anything else? Yeah.
Front-end developer bad in CSS.
Yeah, front-end developers are really bad in CSS because this animation made with CSS, and probably my laptop is melting right now because it's non-performant at all. So it's 100% of CPU. So front-end. Before we begin talking about future of front-end, of frameworks and other stuff, let's talk a little bit about history of front-end, right? So in 1188 CE, Common Era, there were no front end, obviously, because, you know, like, but maybe like a little bit of Inquisition and other stuff, but yeah, no front end at all, and no web. At 17th century, 18th century, there was no front end too, because, you know, no electricity, no web, no browsers and other stuff, only French Revolution and other stuff. But somewhere between 50s and 90s and 19th century was no front end too. Sorry. So enough joking. By the way, which version of jQuery is your favorite? Enough joking, and let's talk about serious stuff, about front-end. So cool vadis front-end, it's Latin, where you go in front-end. Top 10 trends. And few disclaimers before we begin. First disclaimer. This one is highly opinionated. It's subjective and other stuff because no one actually knows where front-end going. I asked in the most useful and most trustful source in internet and Twitter, and I've got some responses. And yeah, this is the tree of Twitter, whatever. And yeah, so it's based on my opinions and on opinions of community, about opinions of Twitter. But yeah, of course, you should take it with a pinch, like big pinch of salt. It's a fair thing. And yeah, and I like this picture. Name JavaScript. What the frick? Java on the cup. If you, what's the most funniest name spelling you had in Starbucks? Mine was just one letter K for some reason, because this guy was probably lazy. And second thing, I will talk about many things today, about frameworks, about some nonsense words, about some future technologies. And of course, you shouldn't go to your boss saying, hey, can we use this new fancy framework? Of course, everything here is, you should think about it twice, because something that you use in Microsoft or Google or any funk technology, big corporation probably will be useless for your small pizza shop startup, whatever. So again, with a pinch of salt, and let's begin. Number 10. By the way, I don't have any prizes here, unfortunately. I have my phone, I can show it to you. But you can play along with me, so you can try to guess which one it's going to be next. This one you never know, because it is HTTP.3. It's a bit strange for For front-end developers, for web developers, wow, it's new HTTP.3, I don't care. And actually, it's true, you don't care. If you're a JavaScript developer, you don't care about this, like, OC stack, and if you remember in university or whatever, these, like, layers, I don't remember them. But it's extremely important because new version of HTTP, if previously it was based on TCP, packets, transport layer. Now it's based on UDP and QUIC. And I would tell you a joke about UDP, but you won't get it. Yeah, pretty old joke, as we said with the beard. So QUIC is a really nice thing because it has a lot of things, and I will not like requestless CPU, connection migration. So for example, if you switch from your data, like mobile data to Wi-Fi, it would be for you as a user. It's seamlessly you can still continue some requests. But for front-end developers, it's really nice because right now all browsers that support HTTP 3 are faster. All except Safari, of course, because Safari is new IE and new Internet Explorer, as you, I guess. Who uses Safari? Like,
everyone that uses iPhone uses Safari, even if you don't want to.
Yes, I have a Google phone, so yeah, I'm an Android fanboy. So yeah, in HTTP.3 you don't have to do anything, but actually it's really useful and nice thing, and hopefully it will be in Safari soon. Number 9. What do you think? What is this? Like, give me something. Give us a hint. Okay, it's a hint. What is the fastest rendering engine? Like, okay, in Angular we have Ivy, in React we have Fiber or something, like not rendering engine, but, and in Vue we don't have anything because Evan Yu, the creator of Vue, said that like I'm a bit doubtful about the fast React and other stuff. So in Vue we don't have it, and we have of course Svelte. So this is a modern trend. Of course, users, they don't want to wait like few seconds while your application is rendering. Everyone wants 60 frames, 120 frames, whatever frames. So you should be really fast in rendering stuff. So frameworks are getting faster and faster in rendering. And again, we have Ivy, Fiber, whatever, Svelte, which they claim don't have a framework code on production, but yeah, it's not that true. And we have one nice proposal, Worker DOM. As you know that we have one thread, and this is a big problem. For example, if your animation is stuck, you're done. Worker DOM is a proposal that actually can render DOM in worker threads. So maybe one day we will have multi-threading in JavaScript. Wow. We're like a C++ developers. We're big people now. But yeah, of course, it's just a proposal. We'll see what's going to be in future. And of course, what is that? It's Chevy. It's Chevrolet, but this is the most ugliest car in the world, of course, like all Chevrolets. Sorry. It's Chevrolet SSR, but in our case, of course, SSR means server-side rendering. Why should I care about rendering all this stuff in browser? Why not to give a browser just DOM? So, and that's the point of all server-side rendering. So you just have your DOM code, your HTML code, and you just render it in browser without any like complicated stuff. And we have several frameworks here, like Next.js or Remix. I'm a big fan of Remix, and Gatsby, it's not a kind of like, so it's a static website constructor, you may guess. So if you, for example, need just a simple application with, I don't know, one blending, one button, why to use React or any other big, super heavy application demanding framework? Number 8. I'm rushing because I have only like 30 minutes, and that's not enough. But we can talk about many things in on the lunch. So number 8 is one store, multiple stores. Your Facebook page. We all know this. We have a lot of things here, and just imagine every small little piece on this page requires some data. Like this one requires some data, this one, that one, this thing, and that's stories. I mean, stories on Facebook, why do I need it? I have an Instagram. Integrate WhatsApp and Facebook. Well, they have it. So a lot of things, and all of them require data. And this data we're getting from backend, from server, right? And previously, yeah, and this is a mess, of course, because Facebook. I love Facebook. So previously we had this thing that we had one single state per application. So just imagine you are getting all the data from your backend, from your database, and then you do something with that. But of course, with these pages like that, it's not really nice way to get an information. So now we have more sophisticated thing when each component knows about the data that it wants, and it requires data from a backend. And of course, we have like GraphQL thing, so you can construct your queries on the fly, and this is really nice because, of course, amount of data passed through the network is we should minify it, because otherwise, just imagine user will wait till this stories or whatever will block every page in Facebook. So again, GraphQL and multiple stores. Again, examples is a React query, a really nice library if you're using React, and SWR. So for example, here we have some code. So we have our data error and use SVR with the API endpoint, and that's it. So in each we don't ask for data on just page load. We ask each component asks for data. And Effector.js, again, the same idea. You're just asking for data from a backend. And Remix, yeah, because it has some loaders. Again, big fanboy of Remix here, so you can ask me about that. And number 7, are you still with me? Because, you know, this top 10 things can be a little bit boring. Hopefully it's not. But again, number 7, bundlers. So hopefully we now have this JavaScript modules. We can import whatever. Who remember require notation? Yeah, require and other stuff, and even before everything there, when you just paste some chunks of JavaScript code on your web page, it was nice. Java query time. So of course JavaScript modules supports even in Safari. Where is Safari? Safari. Yeah. So yeah, and. We will talk about it later, but now the whole idea of bundlers is to bundle everything so efficiently that user will not get useless code, because useless code equals bad code. We don't need a lot of things on production because we don't need it. We want our front end to run smoothly and as quickly as possible. So micro front ends and model federation in Webpack 5 is a really nice thing. And there are couple of new bundlers, like new, of course new, and like two years old, and front end it's too old. ESBL, Snowpack, second version, White, they're really nice. So White is kind of slowly moving to be not a standard, but it's kind of more and more people using White. So if you never heard about White, you can, or Vitia, I don't know how it's pronounced, you can try it. It's nice. Number 6. So I'm just throwing some stuff at you, and if you're interested, you can blink. So number 6, accessibility. You can say, "Wow, accessibility! I know everything about accessibility. Wow, it's not a trend." And yeah, but the thing is that we have some changes, not in the accessibility world, not in the accessibility area, but in and political stuff. So there are many countries and many laws that force you as a front-end developer. You can say, hey, we are doing like small pizza shop delivery site. We don't care about accessibility. And yeah, but why? But again, in many countries in Europe, yeah, I would not scroll it, but yeah, even in China, they have a laws about accessibility. So my predictions are that in the future, probably not, of course, all companies, all websites, but of course, governmental and any other like related to that, all websites should be accessible, and we would have some special laws about that. So if you are not familiar with accessibility stuff and you don't care, first question, why? And second question is you should, because in the future, I don't know, in 5 years or so, we will have special laws that you can go to jail if you're not put special tags. And it's nice thing. I mean, not the jail, but accessibility. Okay. Number 5. You may guess, what is that? Lighthouse, yeah, and this is a great movie. I wanted to watch this movie, and I decided why to not watch it alone with a bottle of wine. And yeah, it was a really nice experience. If you haven't watched it, it's really immersive into the madness, I would say. So yeah, number 5 is Web Vitals. It's not a new thing, but still, it's a new metric system from Google, and of course, many people follow it. So it's 3 new, again, not new, but fresh metrics. It's LCP, FIDs, and CLS. And again, why it's important? Just yet another metrics. It's important because, first of all, Google and probably other search engines, they will look at your site and they will hire this in hierarchy in the search results, or lower it if you have a bad Lighthouse score. So this is pretty important. Of course, for some SaaS products, it is not really important, but again, you can get better SEO optimization results if you have this, if you follow these metrics, if you have like 100 score here. And yeah, again, this is pretty important. If you don't care about performance, you will be forced to take care of it, because as Google forced people to use HTTPS, showing some scary pop-ups and whatever, same thing, Google and probably other browsers and other companies, they will force you to follow these metrics, not probably like Web Vitals, but again, it's really crucial. And it's not a trend, it's already happening. Number 4. We're slowly moving to the top. Number 4, you can guess it. So it's, the background. Anyone? What's that? So what's the fish? It's the most dangerous and most tastiest fish in the world. Piranha. I never taste piranha, so I'm not sure that it's really tasty. It's fugu. Yeah, and number 4, it's a web platform. I will not show you the website because I for some reason I don't use Wi-Fi here, but you can follow web.dev/fugu status. What is that? Web platform, it's a special, how to say, set of features, of technologies by Google, not only Google, by other vendors like Microsoft is there and Apple is there. So now, as a front-end developer, you actually can use USB, you can use Bluetooth, you can use GPS, you can use motion sensors, you can use many things just in your browser. For example, a really bright example, one of the companies, they had special thing. They have teachers, English teachers, all around the world, and they gave them special like tablets or small laptops, so they can write some things, and they are people that they teach, they can see these notes. But it was a big problem because they bought this notepads, these things in China, and only one thing that they communicated with the computer, it would USB, and just imagine you're sending some device to teachers, to English teachers, and they are not that sophisticated in technology and other stuff, and you ask them to install some drivers for Windows, install some additional software, and you should update it, and you should do a lot of things, and it was a big problem. So they just used new APIs, USB APIs, and bam, you're just opening browser, and your notepad, this laptop thing, works just from the box. So I think that epoch of the clients, standalone clients that you install on your machine is gone. Now everyone is using either browser or Electron or whatever. It's the same thing. So yeah, this is a nice website. You can go there, and they have a lot of features. Practically, you can replace your client by browser. Next one, if you have NPM delivery, you're like, oh boy, my package is here, and bam, you have, as you can see, a lot of packages. Jokes about not modulus into 2022, yeah, sorry, but it's COVID. So number 3 is micro frontends. Who's familiar with micro frontends concept? Yeah, a lot of people. So micro frontends. As you can see, we have this our Facebook page, and just imagine how many people works on this page. Like probably more than 100 people, probably more than 300 people, or a lot of people work on that. And just imagine if they want to commit to each file, and they just merge conflicts everywhere. It's hell. So new again in quotes, new trend is a micro frontends. It just basically means that if you have multiple teams, there should be some way to combine it not on the development stage, but on the stage of compiling JavaScript. Yeah, sorry for that. So and the whole idea of micro frontends is that there are different ways to compile it. So we have 3 teams, for example, and they work. One team works on these stories. Other work for this thread. Other works on notifications, and each of the teams should be as separately as possible, as independent as possible, because it speed up the process, speed up everything. I don't know, delivery, releases, all this stuff. And there are right now a big trend that we split our JavaScript monolith to separate chunks. Same happening in the backend world. Microservices, everything is micro today. So yeah, and it would be nice to reuse code somehow, and this is the big problem in micro frontends, how to reuse the code. But again, it can be solved with UI kits, some packages and whatever. But right now, it's a new trend that's not new, but again trend, that we would have micro frontends. And you can follow, I will publish all the links here, and there is a really nice article on Fowler's site, really awesome about micro frontends. Number 2, Hackerman. So it's about one-man team. Right now, everyone here, each front-end developer or web developer, you are not web developer anymore, because you actually can develop any application without other people. Because right now we have a lot of like Twilio, it's not an advertisement, just we have Firebase, we have Superbase, FaunaDB, VoxImplant, Amazon Lambdas, and other things. So for example, if you want to have a database, authentication, chats, WebRTC, for example, VoxImplant, they are providing PaaS, a platform as a service, and you can create. What was the name of this like startup with the rooms where people can talk, and it died, and they had only Clubhouse. What's going on with Clubhouse right now?
Really?
Yeah, I don't know too. So like with the Vox implant, you can create same thing in JavaScript in half an hour. Wow, it's super nice. And again, Amazon Lambdas or like any other Lambdas, you can work with databases having no idea what database is, like for real. So as a front-end developer, you can actually create a lot of things without just paying the money. Of course, sometimes it's a big problem. For example, if you rely on third-party services and you have subscriptions there and there and there and there, it can be really pricey. If you remember latest story about Google Maps, when they increases the limit for free tier users or decreases the limits, and bam, many companies realize that now they have to pay $10,000 just for Google Maps. It can be, but again, prototyping and developing these days as a front-end developer is easier than it was before, because you can go Google everything or anything, and bam, you have a service for that. You can have a service for load balancing. You can have a service for you name it. Like recently I was using Supabase and it's Supabase. So like authentication, Postgres database and everything around that, bam. I just paying $10 per month. And again, it's not advertising, but yeah. And before we continue to number 1, honorable mentions. So of course, Jamstack. It's a new thing in the industry, so you can create websites and other stuff really easily. So static websites, again, Gatsby. Hi, Gatsby lovers. It looks like the web bitten own tail, and we're back to 15 years ago, because like static websites with only HTML, JavaScript, and CSS are not now popular. And headless architecture, CSS and JS. I know that some of you are not big fans of CSS and JS, like, yeah. And you may guess this guy is a CSS developer, so that's why. Maybe one day we will see JS and CSS. Who knows? There is? It's already there. Oh, okay. So yeah, again, you may know only JavaScript. You can use Tailwind CSS, and bam, you have everything. Fetch API, Wasm, and last but not least, I like JavaScript and I prefer TypeScript, but we still respect each other. Get that dirty bullshit out of my face. So number 1 is of course TypeScript. It's not a, future trend, but again, you can follow this link. It's just analyzing GitHub repositories with TypeScript, with all the languages and showing the graph. And of course, TypeScript. Okay, who uses only JavaScript in your day-to-day work? Only JavaScript. 1? Okay. And TypeScript? Yeah, you can see the TypeScript is what's going to be in the future with TypeScript. I don't know. Maybe one day we will see a new version of JavaScript that combine TypeScript, or one day TypeScript will go, I don't know, because it's kind of owned by Microsoft. We don't know what's the future of it. Not of Microsoft, of course, but TypeScript. But right now, if you're not using TypeScript, it's you should, because not because it's cool, I can type and whatever, but the industry moving in that direction. So maybe in the future, on the interview, you will be asked, "Hey, do you know TypeScript?" And you say, "No, I'm a JavaScript fan," and they would say, "Sorry, but like next candidate, please." So, and last thing is Web 3.0. Yeah, super cool hackers hacking. Yeah. So Web 3.0 is a mysterious thing, same as the Web 2.0. And when I don't know who is old enough to remember Web 2.0 hype. Yeah, like, wow, it was super. Yeah, we will create new social media, social stuff, and now we have Facebook. But Web 3.0 is actually just another hype thing. Actually, I don't know. We may argue about that, but it's based on no one actually knows what it is, and I will not tell you that. It's probably a mix between crypto chain, webcoin startups, unicorn stuff, and yeah, again, this super hacking. We will discuss it later. I don't have much time, so thank you very much. Conclusion: learn TypeScript. Desktop apps are gone. Well, desktop apps. Accessibility, smaller is equals better in the web world. And yeah, subscribe. Rike is a nice company. Blah, 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 blah. And thank you very much.